And we're off.
We're off. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome to As We Art. It's a podcast. It's a YouTube channel. We're talking art. We're talking inspirational.
Yes. I'm Candace.
I'm Monica. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what we're creating, what's inspiring us, and we want to hear from you. What are you creating and what's inspiring you?
Yeah, we mean it. You know, we come here every week and talk about our projects and what's happening. And when we hear from you, it's so inspiring. We've heard from a few people this week. It's been nice to know what other people are working on and what's motivating them to be
y'all are so creative.
Yeah,
y'all really are.
Y'all. Yeah, I love the word y'all.
Yes, it's great. It's inclusive. I don't think the South meant to be inclusive with that word, but
true. We're in New England where y'all is not very common.
No.
But I had an opportunity to live down south, the southern part of the United States, at two different points in my life, and y'all was very much part of everyday vernacular. Is that the right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to sound fancy.
I like it.
I heard a mother yelling at her child once, and it was one child, and she was yelling, and she said, hold on. She said, "Y'all come back here. I'm fixing to yell at you." She called her one child y'all and said she was fixing to yell at them
While yelling.
That's
beautiful.
But fixing was pronounced, I'm fitting to yell at you or something. It was really funny. I love different ways of pronouncing English.
Did you just say pronouncing?
That's
a different way to pronounce it.
Enunciate, pronounce. Yeah, pronouncing different English. It's awesome. We bring on the accents, different parts of the country. It's so fun. And it was fun to live down there and here. And I started using y'all. It was great. It's when I was coaching teenagers rowing, where sometimes they would show up without sneakers in their cowboy boots still. And I'm like, where are your sneakers?
Oh, that's
How are you going to do land training in those? Okay, let's talk art.
Let's do it. Yeah. What did you work on this week, Monica?
Sorry, I just noticed I'm in a nice bright spring color and you're in all black.
I'm in mourning.
Black long sleeve, not even a graphic tee. That's different for you.
I know. I'm just trying to blend.
You do. Actually, you're all black long sleeve. If you're just listening on the podcast, by the way, you are missing out. So we're glad you're listening. But if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that Candace is in a long sleeve black waffle knit. Anyway, it reminds me of my very young elementary school days where I was helping as a puppeteer. And you look like a puppeteer.
What do you mean puppeteer? I need more information.
Well, my grandmother, who was an artiste, she's my inspiration this week. I've been thinking about her, but I forgot about the puppeteering part of it. She would make puppets by hand, all these hand puppets and stick puppets and marionette puppets, and actually put on puppet shows locally. Like this is sounding really weird as I say it.
It sounds very weird, but fun. Where would she put on puppet shows?
Oh my God. So it was called the Masked Puppeteers.
Masked?
Masked. M-A-S-K-E-D.
I didn't know if you said mass or masked.
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 She was an artist, among other mediums. She made life casts of people's faces and hands. And so the masks that she made, even for her puppets, were sometimes based on people's real faces. Thinking about it now, I can't even believe I'm talking about this. So she had this big setup with curtains, I'm not talking like a little kid's puppet show that's a few feet wide. This thing was a stage. And she would go and set it up in auditoriums, mostly at elementary schools. But also like at other types of schools, nursing homes. Wow. And when I was old enough, like first grade, I got to wear a black turtleneck and black gloves and be behind the scenes helping like hand her props at certain times. My father was a puppeteer with her, and they would put on these incredible shows wearing all black. So that's what it reminds me of.
Beautiful. I always feel like Danny Kaye in White Christmas when he does the choreography number. He's in all black. Yeah.
Am I imagining, does he have a beret
He
on?
has a beret on. Yes. I skipped the beret. I do have a hat on. Non-beret.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the black. Yep. Puppet shows.
That's amazing.
The thing about I'm just going to say this. She was such an artist and so experimental, but she didn't have a good read on gearing her shows for young children versus adults. So it was the same show and they were scary. These were not like these puppet shows. I'm thinking about it now, like based on like Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart.
Oh my God.
And she had an Edgar Allan Poe puppet. She did the Raven. She had some gory stuff happening, like scary stuff happening in these puppet shows. And it was just totally normal. And when I was a little kid, I didn't know how weird we were as a family because you don't know when you're a kid.
None of us ever do. Yeah.
And I was like proud to be part of the puppet show that was being put on in the school or nursing home or community center. But I'm thinking about it now, like my grandmother would look forward to the fear that she'd make them scream. I mean, and whether you're a little kid that's scared or an old person, that you're going to shit your pants if you're that scared. Yeah. And she had this one trick in the puppet show. I'm sorry, I'm going off on this.
It's amazing.
Remembering.
I could listen to a whole episode about the puppet show.
I never even talk about this. Even with you, I haven't even told you this.
Nope.
So she had like a trunk with like 30 puppets and she'd make a new story every year. And every year she'd go and do her rounds of puppet shows, like as a side hobby on weekends or weekdays, because it was when school was in session. Anyway, one of the big tricks at the end was one of the puppets she had was the devil. As
like
you do. I mean, it was scary. Red face, red horns, life-size face. And my dad would play this devil puppet. And so he had his one hand in the puppet and the other hand was his glove with like nails. And he'd be this devil. And she'd be the other puppet or whatever, and I'd be handing them props. And at one point, I had a really important role behind the scenes.
Yes. Hence the all black.
But the big moment where without the audience knowing, he hands off this puppet to my grandmother, and she has the same gloved hand. So she continues to make movements with this puppet. And I hand him a flashlight, which he turns on right under his chin. It's totally pitch dark in the room for this scene. And he has put on a duplicate mask that matches the puppet, the devil puppet. And as he is now putting on this flashlight and about to scare the audience by walking out from behind, my grandmother lowers the devil puppet and here comes this life-size devil. And the audience would freak. I mean, they would be so scared because he's just in a flashlight, same exact mask. And he's like, whoa.
Oh my God.
I mean, old ladies at the nursing home or little kids principals, teachers, it didn't matter. My grandmother like relished this moment of the scream. Anyway.
That's amazing.
Why are we getting because you wore black.
That's incredible. I would have been all about it as a kid.
What do you mean?
Scary puppet show would have been my jam. I would have been so happy to watch it.
Not to be part of
participate. No.
Okay.
I might have been able to be a prop hander, but no.
Well, they interacted with the audience. These puppets would like talk to the audience and interact with them. If anyone dared like sneeze or cough, they'd be like, do you need a tissue? Like the puppets they scared the audience. I can't even, this was so
I
normal.
love that in New England, there is now an adult population with like shared trauma from this devil in a puppet show.
100% there are people talking to the therapist about my grandmother.
It's amazing.
Because she definitely aimed to please by scaring people. It was really funny.
It's beautiful. We would have been very good friends.
Yeah, I had some important work behind the scenes. The black turtleneck was a key part of the outfit. And I was proud. Like when they come to do the puppet show at the school, I'd be like, yes. But by the time I was older, like 4th or 5th grade, I'm like mortified. I'm like, no, I don't know those weirdos.
No, school programs are full. No more room for you folks. What were the props you would hand them?
Well, I don't remember all the props and the storylines would change, but one of the props I definitely remember was this egg, just a single little egg. And it looked real, but it was made out of foam. Like it was squishable. Squishy. It was cute. I liked touching it, but the puppet would convince the other puppet on on stage that it's just a prop egg. Look, you could squish it. It's just a prop egg. Here, watch when I put it against my forehead and nothing happens. It's a squishy egg. And so one of my important jobs was to hand off the real egg before the other puppet's about to try it, thinking it's the prop egg. So now the other puppet gets this egg and does the squish against the head, and lo and behold, a real egg goes into the puppet's hair. And of course the audience laughs. But I remember I had to hand off that. There was some storyline with a lot of bat puppets, and she had hand puppets and marionettes, but the bats were on these like 2 sticks, and I was a little kid. Like, she's like, don't worry about how awkward they are, because bats look demented when they're flying. Like, make it real. And so I'm like behind the scenes with all these bats, like
nice,
doing the stick puppets,
dumpy flapping.
Yeah, I had black gloves and a black turtleneck, so you couldn't see, and my head's behind a curtain.
That's amazing.
I can't even believe I'm remembering all this. I really forgot about these puppet shows, but
I fully expect a puppet show for my next birthday.
Oh my God,
I'm just letting you know.
No, her puppets didn't make it over the years. We found all of her puppets, after she died, in a big trunk in the basement, but some of them had edible, like, noodles for their hair. And so, like, mice had got in and went to town on these puppets. Her marionettes lasted. Some of her marionettes were beautiful. Like, she had Charlie Chaplin, she had Edgar Allan Poe, she had this hula dancer. So she had some really cool marionettes that, when she died, she was a really well-known artist in the local community. And so people would come over and want, like, a piece to remember her by. And at the time, I'm like, take whatever. And so they all found new homes.
That's awesome.
Not the mice-infested puppet trunk, but the other stuff.
That's great.
Anyway, that's a lot for just wearing all black. Woo! But you know what? She's been on my mind. And I know we usually start with what art we're working on, but I'll just start with my grandmother. She really has been my inspiration this week. This is an old photo that's going to probably be too shiny for this camera.
I think if you kind of hold it
down.
Like,
that's Lucille.
Here. Yeah.
So she was an experimental artist. This is her working in her basement, pouring plaster into something. She was always experimenting. She was a beautiful artist. Sculptures. She made fountains. She did life casts. She had a gallery in Provincetown for several summers in the 60s and into the 70s. And she was just so fearless, as we've talked about on this podcast. We're trying to come to you every week and talk about what we're doing without the fear. We're trying to experiment, be creative, use our human side. So if there's anything you're working on or that inspires you, she was one of those fearless artists that totally inspired me to just jump in and try it.
That's awesome.
And so my inspiration this week is definitely her. And it will lead to my art, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Nice.
Do you want to start with inspiration to change it up?
Yeah. First, a cosmic shout out to Lucille.
Oh, amazing. She was so awesome. Definitely an inspirational human. A lot of my writing is inspired by her and her stories. And yeah, I could do a whole series of podcast episodes on her, but we'll stop with puppet showing because that's
sounds amazing.
I
think we should just end this episode because it's not going to get any better than that. That was amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's weird now because I've never, people hadn't seen a puppet show up until that point. They haven't seen one since. Like, it wasn't like this was a thing that was popular at the time.
Right. She was playing to the folks that were from the vaudeville era that were in the nursing homes at the time.
Yeah. Egg on the face. Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Well, if we're rolling with inspiration, I'll give my inspiration.
Okay.
And it kind of feeds into it because I got scared.
You got what?
I got scared.
Oh, scared. You don't fright very easily.
I do not. I have like zero jump reflex, and I really like scary movies and scary books. But I was a little inspired this week by a book I'm currently reading. It is called The Winter People. Can't remember the author's name to save me, but I was reading it last night in bed and actually had to like pause and close the book and do something else for a minute because there was just one scene in it that gave me the ickies. Because I was the only one still awake and it was spooky and the hallway was dark. I feel like my imagination runs wild a little bit more with reading scary things than it does with seeing them.
Well, hold on, back up. So first of all, we always read out loud every night. I read part of a book out loud, and then we both turn to our own books and read. And I did. I was getting tired. I remember shutting my light off before you.
And you heard that right. Monica reads out loud to both of us every night. It's adorable.
Yeah, for 10 years
We
now.
love it.
We do a chapter a night. We've read, I don't know,
Tons of books.
tons of books. But I did shut my light off before you. We usually do around the same time, but I was tired and you were still awake. But so I know I can't do scary things, but can you give me the gist in like just a few words? Like what scared you?
Eyes peering out from a closet.
Oh, fuck.
But I mean, there was a lot of buildup behind it, but for some reason that's that
plenty.
specific moment just, it got me. And I was like, ooh, I need to I actually had to get on my phone and scroll for a minute to kind of erase it from my memory before I turned the light off.
And the house was quiet.
House was quiet. It was
man.
like 12:30, midnight, 12:30.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
But then you said, I think your point, you said you think you have a little more fear while reading versus seeing, or?
Yeah, I think for me, if I'm watching something scary, it's almost like, with a horror movie, they try to scare, move on, scare, move on, scare, move on. So it's kind of like you don't really have a moment to sit and process afterwards or let your imagination run wild. Yeah. But reading it, I read it and then I just kept thinking about it while I was reading the next paragraphs. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't like scary things at all, but certainly visually I can't do. It stays in my brain.
Our bed also faces our closet. So at the same time, I was looking at the closet.
Oh my God, I'm not used to you being scared. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father loves scary things. He tried to show me Night of the Living Dead when I was in second grade or third grade. I'm like, I can't watch this. It was awful.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead is spooky.
I mean, I also had appreciation for Alfred Hitchcock movies because of him, but he also taught me to mute it. If it was too scary, you could press mute. And if you're watching a movie and you don't hear it, it's not as scary for some reason. But with reading, it's your own brain conjuring up these images, and there's no mute button. You have to keep reading.
Yeah, that build up from the soundtrack is kind of what gets your adrenaline going. Yeah, my sister always used to cover her ears during scary movies or scary scenes so that she wouldn't jump. Because the music and the sound is what actually makes you have the jump scare.
I hate that. So we want to hear from you if you're listening. Are you the type that will voluntarily go through a scary haunted house?
Love it.
Candace lives for that shit. Or watch scary movies knowing this is going to be unsettling and spooky and disturbing and scary. Is that something that is your jam? It's not mine, but I want to know. We just want to know what people are out there, what their preference is. So you read a scary scene and that inspired you. How did that inspire you? Oh,
because now I'm going to make some spooky art.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I read or see spooky things and I'm like, woo.
Yeah.
I have ideas.
That's awesome.
Monica sees them and she's like, I got to shut down.
I got to make some flowers. Got to make a tree. Got to make something out of nature.
Move on to something else.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's really cool. There was something else that inspired you that I put on the table. We're cleaning. We're doing a lot of spring cleaning. And one of the things we're doing is my hand's in a weird claw fist situation this week because I'm trying to hide the fact that I have this dumb, colorful Band-Aid on my finger.
First of all, I love the Band-Aid. It's dinosaur teeth. I know
took one of yours.
These are Band-Aids I bought for myself. But why do you have a Band-Aid on?
From my art, I'm always, this week I was working with that metal mesh, flexible sculpting mesh, and it's sharp. I need to wear gloves. But that's why my hand's like that. But anyway, I brought this book because we've been cleaning out books. And some of the old books or used books, we donate to a library or we donate to a library. They have a shop where they sell them.
Yeah.
But this one the binding is broken and it's so old, it's falling apart. But this book is an encyclopedia of etiquette from 1920. And it has everything from how to appropriately ride in a carriage, what to wear when you're at a garden party or when you're in mourning or when you're going.
That's amazing.
Yeah. When you're sending out your calling card to the ladies. It's really old fashioned and funny, but it's falling apart. And so I was like, we both were like, what? We'll tell him your idea.
I'm going to print some lino cut prints. I lost my train of thought. I'm going to print some lino cut prints on different pages. Like, pull them out.
The opera box at the theater. Or
the funeral ones particularly appeal to me.
There's a lot of funeral etiquette in here. So I thought I thought your idea was really cool to take some of the carvings you're doing or make some new ones that are scary.
Yep.
Because you talked about doing an anatomical heart.
Yep.
I never say that word right.
In honor of you and your puppet showing, I'm going to do a bat for sure.
Oh, good. That would be great. And so to put that on some of these pages would be really fun. But the other thing I want to do with some of these pages was I'm still experimenting if we're moving into art.
Yeah, we're moving into art.
It kind of goes into it. I'm experimenting with my blank, my piece by piece. If you were here last week, you know I got a 15 by 15 inch white piece of wood. 150 artists were selected to do one square of a gigantic, like 2-story reveal that's going to happen in June. So we don't know.
Of a famous painting.
Of a famous painting, yeah. Mm-hmm. So hold on.
We're grabbing pictures and square.
Yeah. So my square is a lot of greens, shades of green. So as long as I match it with a white triangle at the top. So as long as I match this up,
Hold it still so they can see it.
This is a 3x3 laminated section of the famous painting that I got. And then this is my white square, right? They put holes, they have to be at the top so you know which one's the top, which direction, which is really important to do the direction right. Mm-hmm. So I gridded out to scale, and I sketched out my dark greens and lighter greens. But there are some lines, some like seams, it looks like texture. So I'm going to use this sculpting. I've been playing around with this mesh sculpting wire. It almost looks like screen you'd put on a window, but it's made for artists to craft. And God, it's quite dirty, huh?
Metal has a tendency to be that way. Solder rolls when we grab them are kind of nasty.
Maybe it's that book. My fingers have black on them. Anyway.
Yummy.
I'm always a mess. So yeah, I'm playing around with adhering these. I'm getting these lined up and then painting them all different shades of green. I'll dip them in different, once I mix the shades to match. I'm just going to use acrylic paint. Because I want it to be lightweight. I'm a glass artist, usually stained glass, but this calls for lighter weight material. So I've been playing around with how to get some more texture, because you can have 3D. And I thought in between those peaks and valleys that I'm going to use the sculpting mesh, I might do some book pages, crumpled up and painted.
Nice. To give it a little more depth.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll see. That's where I am right now. I might experiment with that. I'd hate to waste those good etiquette pages on that, but there are some that
There's so many.
There's so many, and there's some that might be a little more.
And there's only so much etiquette we can go through. So
yeah, and not follow.
Yes.
Yeah. My grandmother did not follow etiquette. She is on my brain this week. She got her first job as a teenager. It's called a hostess on the railway. And all the women, it was like the stewardesses, flight attendants back in the day. I didn't bring water.
Oh, no.
Shit.
Every time we don't bring water, something happens. But every time we do bring water, we never need it. So
she hated those etiquette books. Those etiquette books is what her mother followed and her older sister followed, but she did not follow them. And she lost her job as a railway hostess because she refused to wear a girdle.
Nice.
And she knew she was losing her job. And so under her uniform on her, what was going to be her last train ride, she wore her bathing suit. And when the train pulled into Provincetown on Cape Cod, she took off her uniform and jumped off the pier. She knew she was losing her job anyway, but yeah, she was just a free spirit.
Like, I'm out.
Yeah. She's like, watch this. So I'm working on that art. I am mixing up green paints. I'm sculpting with the mesh and trying to figure out what other materials I can use that are lightweight enough. That mesh is super sharp. I have little cuts everywhere, which is fine.
Even though I encouraged you to wear gloves.
You told me I should, and I know I should, and I still might, probably not. I know. So what I do is I cut it and I just fold the edges so that I don't have sharp edges. But while folding, it can get a little dicey.
No.
All right,
I'm
that's
going to stand behind you, and every time you touch the mesh, I'm going to squirt a lemon on your hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Safety gear is something I should embrace a little more, but I don't.
Totally. Because, I mean, if you get an injury and you weren't wearing safety gear,
I know.
kind of your own fault.
With that installation in June of the big 150 square piece that we're going to find out what the big painting is, the artists that are participating also get to enter their own piece of art with no parameters other than it has to be 20 inches by 20 inches or smaller. To be in an exhibit in the same building. So I'm going to use that mesh, I think, to create a stained glass octopus.
Wow,
I have it
that's
in my
awesome.
mind. I'm going to like sculpt an octopus that's 3D, add glass to the tentacles and what are the little circle sucky things?
Suckers. I don't know what
Suckers.
they're called.
Yeah. So I'm going to figure out a way to make a 3D octopus. That's in my brain right now. So I'm practicing with the mesh to figure that out. But that whole show, all that artwork is due at the end of May. So I have a little over a month.
Nice.
So that's
awesome.
what I'm busy working on. And I'm just like so excited. I can't even like keep up with myself to keep being creative because it gives me energy the more creative I am.
That's great.
What art did you work on, Candace?
I printed some more cards of the blue heart that I printed a week or two ago. For Brenda. Brenda requested some cards. Thanks, Brenda.
She paid. She
did.
ordered.
She's my first paying lino cut customer. So thank you, Brenda. That's amazing.
That's so cool. They
And
were all blue.
so fun to make. Yeah, she requested blue hearts, and it actually turned out really well. So it was a lot of fun to make. And it's always fun to see people receive your art, and it feels really good. So thanks, Brenda.
That's so awesome. Yeah. There's smaller. The smaller carvings that you do could become little cardstock cards if you want. Yeah. That's so cool. And different colors.
Different colors. I have lots of colors. And then the other thing I did this week is I started a sketch of a lino cut I'm going to make of a crystal ball.
Ooh, really?
That if you can't see my hand motion, you're missing out.
Crystal ball. Okay, tell me, would you carve out the ball part or the background part?
So I think I'm going to do it as a reduction lino cut.
Okay, remind me what that
I'm
means.
going to do several different layers so that there's different colors.
Okay, reduction means different colors. Okay.
So I think the crystal ball will probably be like a transparent-y blue. I'm going to mix a blue with some extender that makes it thinner and lighter.
Okay.
And make it kind of a transparent-y blue, but I'm not sure about the other colors yet. So I still haven't finished the sketch, but I'll get there.
You didn't bring it?
I didn't bring it because
done.
it's not ready for public consumption.
Okay. I won't take a picture of it. But that reminds me, if you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, we're really glad you're here. We want to know what you're working on. But do check out our Instagram, because As We Art podcast on Instagram is where we post the pictures of the things, either in process or finished projects or things that we're inspired by. I'll put a picture of my grandmother up. I don't have a picture of the puppet shows necessarily. I might be able to find something about the puppet shows.
I think the imagination is just perfect for that, you know?
Yeah.
Just let it dwell.
She would hand draw the advertisements and they'd be hung up at every store around town, like at the local community. Come and see them. They used to have what are they called? Like village halls or something. The different community gathering spots. This is so oldie-timey New Englandy, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Like they were probably in the past used more for like political gatherings.
But we had
out what to do
variety
with the
shows. Like the
village.
community would come together and have a variety show. Not
It's crazy.
a church or school. Like I would tap dance when I was young.
Oh, nice.
Really? Like
For
a
the whole
little
village.
blue sailor outfit. I know I have a picture of me in that tapping outfit. So there might be some interesting stuff to look at on Instagram this week.
That's great.
Little throwbacks to the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It's beautiful.
It's funny that the times I grew up in the 70s and 80s where that was still happening, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if puppet shows are still around. I haven't seen one in a long time.
The only puppet show I have ever seen since I was little in pop culture was the movie Forgetting
Sarah Marshall.
Sarah Marshall. Tell me that actor's
Dracula.
name.
Jason Segel.
Jason Segel. That movie's funny.
It's hilarious.
Recommend it. But that actor, Jason Segel, is actually truly really into making puppets. That's his work. And he wrote like a puppet rock opera about Dracula that he always wanted a movie and couldn't seem to like get it in. He had done it years and years prior, but for that movie, it's in. At the end of the movie, you get to see his puppet show, and it's really, really cool. And it did remind me when I saw that movie of like my grandmother's passion for puppetry.
Yeah. And they are all dressed like Danny Kaye, the puppeteers.
Are they?
Yeah, they're all in black turtlenecks.
Danny Kaye. So, okay, I'll have to remember what pictures to add on Instagram this week. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you could see the rom-com.
Yeah. I think
Forgetting
that
Sarah Marshall,
and
but-
Sound of Music are my only two moments with a puppet
the
show.
puppet shows with the goats. But you know what? That was such a small stage, right?
And they were all marionettes.
They were all marionettes. Yeah.
So they were up above the stage.
Right. It was a little different. When my grandmother would do the marionettes, she would be in her all black. She'd go out in front of the theater, in front of the puppet show stage and do them. Like you could see her, but most of it was behind the curtain. So this will be fun. We will take some pictures to go along with this week. We did art. We talked inspiration. We want to hear from you. If you're inspired by anything in particular, if you have any weird, quirky things from your childhood, please share.
Yes.
So I don't feel so alone in my weirdness.
Oh, we were all weird kids, you know.
But being weird is actually pretty awesome.
For sure. Normal people are boring.
I didn't know how weird my family was.
I didn't either till I was an adult, actually.
And you're like, oh, you were the weird ones.
Yep.
That happens. It's okay. We turned out all right.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we pretend to.
We're doing it. We're fine. So let us know how you're doing, what you're working on this week. We'd love to hear from you and from y'all. Bringing it back to y'all.
Yes.
And what episode is this?
16.
Is it?
It is.
Wait, we did 15?
I know because I had to type it in.
Okay, so this is Sweet 16?
Yes.
Okay. So we're glad you're here. Thanks for being here. We will see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.